Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days for today's second video, which will take us to around the 26th of July. And we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended ECM and GFS ensemble, say runs around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 as usual at the end of the video for the next month. So, the first video today was the ECMWF 30-day look at. That's taking us well into August, looking at the temperature and precipitation anomalies across not just the UK, but most of Europe for the next 4 weeks. Looking pretty warm, actually, for the rest of July. Bit uncertain, though, as we get through to August. Have a look at that and see what's going on there. The third video that will be coming up later is going to have a look at some events taking place in the final weekend of July. So we've got Camp Festival and other events that will be taking place that weekend. Third update will be with you. Not third update, but the third video for today will be with you, which is second update for Camp Festival, will be with you tonight. Before I do anything else, I've got to say a big thank you to our latest PayPal donor. We've had a redonation through PayPal. This person would like to stay anonymous, but you know who you are, and I'm sure you'll be watching the video. So a big thank you to you for your redonation. They donated last year, and they've decided to donate again this year. So a big thank you to that person, and just helping us to pay for our website, so thanks so much for doing that. If you would like to become a PayPal donor, and you'll get your name read out in the video if you want to. You can stay anonymous if you want to do that, so just leave a little note with your donation and let us know how you would like this part of the announcement to go, whether you would like to get a shout out or whether you'd rather stay anonymous. But in any case, you can just come to Gazlovich's PayPal page, sign in to your PayPal account, and then you can send a donation or a redonation to Gazlovich, and by doing that, you're helping us to pay for the website and keep the content online. So a big thank you to all of our PayPal donors for doing that. Alternatively, there is Patreon. We have 63 patrons so far, and hello and a big thank you to all 63 of our patrons. If you would rather become a patron for Gazlovich, is given an ongoing monthly donation, can be anything from $1 a month upwards. Then again, all you need to do is come to the Patreon page, and we link to both PayPal and Patreon on all the pages at Gazlovich's and in the description box at YouTube. So again, you just come here to Patreon, you sign up for a Patreon account, assuming you don't already have one. And that's absolutely great. By doing that, you'll become a patron. And again, you'll get a mention in videos as long as you want one. Otherwise, we'll just say thank you to Anonymous for becoming either a donor or a patron. So, big thank you to all the patrons. Big thank you to all of donors. And thanks so much for doing that. You're helping us to pay for Gazlovich. So, big thank you to all of you. Right, so let's have a look at centering temperature then. We're halfway through July now. We have reached the halfway point. And this is where we're currently sitting with the CT. So provisional up to yesterday, 15th of July. As I say, we're halfway through the month now. We're standing at 16.7. An anomaly of getting on for 1 degree above average. So it's not a really warm July by any means. Certainly not nowhere near as hot as it was last July. But a little bit above average, although that's probably a bit overdone, actually. I suspect we will get a bit of a downwards correction when we get through to the end of the month. So I think we're going to finish up solidly in the 16s, definitely, for this July. And I wouldn't totally rule out the chance of getting to a 17 Celsius CET month. 17 Celsius. If we have that for a CET in July, that tells us that we've had a pretty warm July, really, in the CET region. So that's probably about as high as we'll get this month, although you never know, we might pull off some really quite hot temperatures in the second half of the month. But I think 70 is probably our upper, like the upper range of where we're going to get to with this July. But we shall see. It'll be somewhere kind of like 16s or 17s. So certainly not going to be a very hot July, but neither will it be a particularly cool July either. And of course that follows on from June, which came out at 14.2, which is an anomaly of just 0.1 of a degree above average, and May, which was bang on average at 11.1. So again, we're not too far from long-term averages just at the moment. Now, there is a chance of some much hotter weather next week, but it's very, very uncertain. I'm going to talk you through the model output in a moment, but these are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. I'm at Norwich today. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Norwich, and you'll see that we are very close to average at the moment, and likely to be so for the next couple of days. And it goes a bit cooler at the end of the week, just temporarily, for the temperature picks up a little bit over the weekend. But it's not till next week that the temperatures are really rising. So the white line is the ensemble mean, and that is grouping together each individual ensemble member, if you like, each individual line of spaghetti representing an individual ensemble member. It's grouping all of those together and coming up with a mean line for the ensemble. And you can see that is rising up quite a bit actually through the course of next week. So obviously we have a warming trend through the course of next week, but that's disguising a lot of scatter. So we've got the hotter ensemble members are up here, and they are very hot ensemble members. They go up to 20 Celsius, some of these, at 850 HPA. So that would take us well into the 30s Celsius. But on the other hand, we have these ensemble members down here, which obviously are looking much cooler through the course of next week. And it does include the latest GFS operation run as well, which is this thick green line just here. So, again, there's a big temperature differential here between the hottest and coolest ensemble members. The coolest ensemble member is just around there, which is at around 4 Celsius at 850 HPA. The hottest ensemble member is up here, going to around 22 Celsius at 850 HPA. So you've got something like a 20 degree temperature differential or more, 20 degree plus temperature differential between the warmest and coldest or coolest ensemble members. So does tell us that there is a huge amount of uncertainty for next week. It's quite unusual to see the GFS ensembles quite that scatter as we see there. Precipitation wise, we have got some useful rain coming up over the next few days, particularly so as we get from Friday through to Saturday. Could be quite a bit of heavy rain then. Then it goes drier through the early part of next week before perhaps picking up some heavy showers or maybe thunderstorms as we go through towards the end of the month. But of course, with so much uncertainty in terms of the temperature, I think we have to say that anything for the final week of July is essentially highly uncertain. Let's just see how that ensemble for Norwich, which is based on the 6 o'clock GFS run, compares to the midnight operational GFS run, and that's how it was looking then. So again, you see the midnight GFS ensembles, huge amount of scatter once again. The coolest ensemble members are down here, the hottest ensemble members are up there. That is a huge temperature differential between those coolest and hottest ensemble members, and there is a big amount of uncertainty now for this final week of July, but the chance of some very hot weather cannot be ruled out at the moment. Temperature anomalies from the 16th to 24th of July, a little bit warmer than average for the UK and for Ireland, but most parts of central, northern and western Europe cooler than average too. So it's a relatively warm week coming up, and these anomaly charts may well trend hotter actually in the next few days. Precipitation anomalies look like that. Overall, rather on the drier than average side, if anything, for the UK, and particularly so for France. Now, this is that midnight GFS run. We'll start with that. So we begin on Friday looking rather showery, and then on Saturday we bring this trough of low pressure in from the west. That could produce some heavy, maybe even thundery rain overnight Friday into Saturday. That gets out of the way, and then through Sunday and Monday we build up this ridge of high pressure to our south and southeast. At the same time, we've got low pressure out to northwest. This is what's causing the uncertainty. We've got low pressure out to the northwest. I think this does contain some of the humid remains of what was Tropical Storm Barry. So that's out to north and west of us. Then we've got this ridge of high pressure building up from the southwest just here. So it's how much influence below pressure has against the high pressure. If below pressure gets shunted off up there, then that's going to allow the high pressure to build over to the south and east of us, and that will pull hot winds up from the south. But if this low pressure sort of just rolls in over the top of the ridge from the Atlantic, if a trough rolls in over the top of the ridge, and obviously that will limit any hot potential and will mainly push the heat into central and then possibly eventually northern parts of Europe. So it'll be a close run thing either way, I would have thought, and we probably won't know for a day or two. But this particular GFS run, the midnight GFS, did build up that big ridge of high pressure through the course of next week. So this is up to Wednesday now, 24th of July. Notice these areas of low pressure are becoming stalled and stuck out in the Atlantic. The jet stream is being pushed up there, and that's allowing this high pressure to build to our south-southeast, and that starts to draw up much hotter air from southern parts of Europe. There's the upper air temperatures showing the heat building through the middle of next week across many western parts of Europe, and beginning to move up in towards the UK and Ireland as well. That's Thursday next week. High pressure is sitting just to our east. We're pulling in hot southerly to southeast winds. There's the upper air temperatures, 20 Celsius. Ice firm is beginning to head back in towards parts of southwest England. More widely, the 15 Celsius ice firm covering England and Wales. That would take us up to, or probably beyond, 30 degrees Celsius, 86 Fahrenheit down on the surface. Bit of a hint of a thundery breakdown on Friday the 26th of July. There's this area of low pressure here forming over Biscay and drifting northwards. It looks like a rather classic sort of Spanish plume. That could be bringing a threat of thunderstorms with it at the end of next week. There's the upper air temperature still looking hot. Beyond that, well then, high pressure begins to re-establish very close to, so not much of a thundery breakdown actually. And what this midnight GFS run is actually doing is just producing a prolonged spell of hot weather as we go into the final days of July. We get this ridge extending through the country until we get towards the end of the month, when again another thundery breakdown, this time from the west, is being suggested. Upper air temperatures are still looking hot there, even on the 30th of July. That's how you finish up with this midnight GFS run. Still under high pressure, really. Some slightly cooler, fresher air is coming in from the Atlantic, but really high pressure is still in control. So that's quite a prolonged spell of dry, hot weather with one or two limited thundery outbreaks being indicated there, or it was being indicated by the midnight GFS run. Well, the latest GFS run is the 6 o'clock run for GFS, and this is how it's looking in comparison. So again, Friday is a rather showery day, and then on Saturday we bring in this trough of low pressure, so that could provide some much needed and very useful rain for southern southeastern parts of the country. That moves out of the way by Sunday, and into Monday there's the ridge building once again. So we do, up to Monday, look very much in line with what the midnight GFS run was showing, with this area of high pressure building over to the east of the country, low pressures out to west, starting to draw up much warmer air from the south through the early part of next week, although the upper air temperatures aren't quite as hot through the early part of next week. But very quickly then, through the middle of next week, we start to move low pressure in off the Atlantic. Upper air temperatures do look very warm through the middle part of next week, but very quickly we're going into this much more unsettled spell of weather. So by Thursday next week, when the midnight GFS run, hope you're following this, but midnight GFS run by Thursday next week was looking potentially very hot, the 6 o'clock GFS run actually looks much cooler and much more unsettled as this low pressure comes in from off the Atlantic. And notice where the air is coming from. Instead of the air wafting up from southern Europe, the air is actually coming in with this trough of low pressure from the North Atlantic and from Greenland, a totally different wind direction by the second half next week, and obviously much cooler and much more unsettled. That's how we're looking at day 10, which is rather cool and rather showery as well. So into more extended range, well, we tried to build up a bit of a ridge of high pressure. That doesn't really come to very much. I mean, it's obviously a much more unsettled GFS run. That's how we we are on the first day of August, looking potentially cool and very wet across many parts of the country. So again, totally at odds in the extended range as it is at the shorter range between the two midnight and GFS runs. So how the GEM is looking, the Canadian model, again rather showery and cool for the end of the week, and there's that low pressure on Saturday that could provide some very useful rain even down in the south. In the more extended range, well, again, we're trying to build that ridge of high pressure up to the southwest, but nowhere near as strong with that ridge early next week as the GFS output. And instead, we've just got this deep area of low pressure sitting almost over the top of the country. So, I mean, there's uncertainty here from as early as around Monday, Tuesday, can you believe? And then go beyond that, and we have high pressure out to our west. So we do start to settle down a little bit for the course of next week, but with high pressure out to west, winds coming in from the north, that will be relatively cool, albeit there is a drying trend taking place. Winds are in from the north or from the northeast. And then the ECMWF is looking like this. So once again, rather showery, maybe even quite wet from Friday through to Saturday. That's Monday, and high pressure beginning to build from the southwest. Low pressure is out to west-northwest of the UK. So real battle takes place early next week between this area of low pressure out to the northwest. It's just rolling in over the top of this ridge that is trying to build and draw up hot air from the south. Up to the middle of next week, that's how we're looking with the ECM, rather showery and probably a little bit on the cool side. And then we finish up actually at day 10, which is Friday 26th of July, looking rather cool and bring winds in from the west or from the northwest. So clearly within what we've just been seeing here, with the GFS midnight operational run and the GFS ensembles, there is clearly the chance of some very hot weather next week, but at the moment it looks relatively a low chance, so probably no more than around 20-25%. So it's not totally ruled out, but it certainly looks a fairly lowish chance at the moment that we will get some very hot weather going next week. But it can't be discounted. The possibility can't be discounted. It could turn hot next week. These are how the ECM ensembles are looking at day 10. These are the options that we've got on the table from the Icelandic Met Office for day 10, 26th of July. So we have 18 members of the ECM ensembles, including the operational and the control run. Control run is the run we're just looking at, of course, that have the below average heights over and to the northwest of the country, bringing in a westerly flow. That's a cool and unsettled scenario at day 10. 13 with above average heights to our south, below average heights up to the north. Not excessively warm with that, but certainly it's a little bit more settled, and it is warmer than these 18. There's 8 with above average heights in the Atlantic, bit of a mid-Atlantic ridge just there, and below average heights to our northeast. That's probably the coolest scenario. That's bringing in the wind from the north. 7 have above average heights over and to the east of the country, and they'll be drawing up hot southerly to southeast winds, and so will these 5. They have the high pressure more sort of over Scandinavia, but they'd still be very warm or potentially hot with winds in from the east or the southeast. So the two hottest scenarios are these, the 7 and the 5 that we've got just here. And then we've got the 18 there and the 8 there that are a cooler, more unsettled scenario. So that's the way that the ECM ensembles are trending at day 10, actually. They do favour slightly the cooler, more unsettled scenario. The 13 just here, these 13, are a little bit in between, and maybe that's the way it'll finish up. That's perhaps how we'll finish up in the end, a blend of the two sort of extremes. We shall see. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options. We've got lots of them again, so uncertainty through to the end of July. This takes to the final day of July. 14 members of the ECM ensembles with this low pressure over the top of the country, they're unsettled, and 7 just there with low pressure just to our east, again they're unsettled and cool. 10 just there, low pressure to our northeast, quite unsettled and potentially very cool with those. 8 with low pressure to our west, they're bringing in southwesterly winds. They're still unsettled, but they're a little bit warmer. And then the 6 there and the 6 there are the hottest scenarios again, with above average heights over or to the east of the country. It's a minority option. The ECM ensembles are favouring seemingly perhaps increasingly cool and unsettled conditions by the end of July. Finally, CFSV2 looks like this is a 500 millibare heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes from the 16th to 22nd of July, becoming week with above average heights, a weak area of above average heights anyway, just to our south, below average heights out to the northwest. Jet stream coming through rather like that. So most changeable conditions up in the north, driest conditions in the south. Then the high pressure strengthens in week 2, is 23rd to 29th of July, above average heights just almost over the top of the country, but just to a little bit to our southeast. Obviously, that's a hot scenario. It drags the wind up from the south. So the CFS still wants to turn things hotter through that sort of final week of July. Week 3 is the 30th of July to the 5th of August. The above average heights then are down to our southwest, below average heights to the north. Winds are probably coming more west-northwesterly now. So obviously it's a little bit more showery and temperatures are lower. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 6th to the 12th of August, with above average heights over central parts of Europe. That can start to drag hot air back up from the south once again. Lot of uncertainty for August, but the uncertainty actually begins as early as next week, can you believe? So the early part of next week, that's when we've got this low pressure developing. This is the key to it all. The low pressure out to the northwest of us through Monday and Tuesday. If that rolls in with a jet stream into the UK, then it will keep us relatively cool and showery next week. If it gets pushed off up to Iceland, then it will allow a ridge to build up from the south and southwest, and that could set us up for a hot spell next week. Probably what will happen is that will finish up somewhere in between. So we probably will bring up some quite warm air, maybe even fairly hot air, for a very temporary period into the south for a time around the middle part of next week. But it probably won't last more than a day or so, just a one-day wonder again, perhaps. And then we're back into the westerlies through the second half of next week. We shall see. It will all be revealed and it will sort itself out in the next few days. But for the time being, anyway, it's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. Obviously, we're going to keep you updated over the next few updates at Galzovids. Right, well, that's it for your second video update. We'll be back tomorrow with another week's 10-day video update and also the 5-day forecast. But coming up this evening, we'll have that look at the weather for Camp Festival and all of those other events that will be taking place through that final weekend of July. That's all for now, though, and thanks for watching.